Hello everyone, and welcome to Deconstructing Politics. My name is Elijah Kinnear.
And my name is Bill.
And this is a very close friend of mine, someone that I do a lot of political activism with now, someone that I've known since high school now, yes?
Yeah,
Freshman year, kind of insane. What'd you do to Tommy? Where'd you put him?
You know how
You know how it'd be. He's still in the basement?
Yeah, I put him in the basement. He's making some sweatshirts for some
for us, doing that sweatshirt ride.
Yeah, he's working a sweatshop.
He's been gone for 3 weeks. Well, hello everyone. We've been gone for about, I think it's been a week now. We had to take a break because, fun fact, I got COVID. Thankfully we pre-recorded, and then Tommy gets COVID literally the next week. So we were just like, yeah, we're going to take a little break. Little did we know stuff would be happening, like in politics the last 2 weeks has been absolutely insane. So of course we weren't there to give our insightful, funny business, but Tommy is still, he's making some merch for the radio show last I checked. Is he doing good? Has he been getting enough lashes, Billy?
Yeah, we've gotten some good lashes in, You know how the workers can get. We got to put them in their place.
Yeah, you got to keep them in place. Well, one of the things that recently happened since we were last on, we talked about, kind of like Kamala being, kind of the next nominee. Joe Biden dropped out. Actually insane.
Totally dropped from all the news waves. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, I honestly, I bet he enjoys it. I bet he's like, he just wants to eat his ice cream.
Yeah.
Wants to hang out with his dog that bites people.
Yeah, 50 years plus in like electoral politics. Yeah, he's probably enjoying a nice ice cream cone.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if the next picture we see of him, he's like back to 2008 Biden. Yeah, all the wrinkles are gone.
He's like with Obama too.
Yeah. Barack, now let me tell you. I feel so great now that I don't have to run for president again.
Obama's like doing a fundraiser for Harris, and like Joe Biden's still just enjoying that ice cream cone.
He's enjoying his ice cream. He's hanging out. And since then, oh my God, I don't know how you feel about the VP shortlist, but I was pulling for this man. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota was picked to be Kamala Harris's vice presidential nominee.
I was ecstatic. I was absolutely ecstatic. He's the energetic like dad type that he like is desperately needed. It's like a fresh feel to the Democratic ticket that I think we haven't really had since like Obama, and he didn't have like the dad feel. He just had the like charismatic politician kind of vibe, and it's nice to see something like that again.
Yeah, no, he was the one I was pulling for. I was like, maybe Pete Buttigieg because he's eloquent, but then it's Pete Buttigieg.
I feel like Pete Buttigieg is trying to be Obama too hard. Like he's trying to be like the youthful guy again, and I don't know.
Yeah, but it was just like, okay, well, and then it was Tim Walz because we can get into like kind of Tim Walz's faults, but like progressive agenda.
Yeah.
Free school meals for children, made Minnesota a trans sanctuary state, massive infrastructure and welfare upgrades, just a very broad support on LGBTQ issues, focusing on public transportation. The dude has done it all.
Yeah, he's part of what is it, the Democratic Farmer Labor Party? Like it's it says a lot about the guy, and it's like I said, it's a really fresh feeling to not have like a corporate Democrat running for president, and it's a good contrast to Kamala Harris because Kamala she's got the education, she's got the know-how, she's politically in tune, I guess, with Washington, whereas Walz, he's very down to earth guy. He held like a congressional district for like a decade that Trump won in 2016, which I think is also indicative of what he is as a politician,
Yeah, like the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, or the DFL, which is like Minnesota's Democrats, they have been really kind of like one of the more like progressive trailblazers trailblazers of like the Democrats nationwide. They really have been kind of getting it, and they've been passing all these like welfare policies, and Tim Walz has just been pushing it and signing everything that gets on his desk.
Right.
But yeah, I totally agree. It balances out. I was thinking, it's like, what would be the best thing to pair with, a senator from California, who a lot of Americans kind of see California as the elite, that's the establishment,
right.
They're out of touch, the coastal elite.
Right.
Who better to pair than your Midwest uncle, your fun
Right,
Midwest
right.
uncle who, the dude goes hunting. And he just like every single video you see about Tim Walz is the most Midwestern dad thing. He put out an ad where the first part of the ad is telling you how to I think it was change a spark plug in your car.
Yeah, like some truck part. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh yeah, and go vote. Like it's the most Midwest stuff ever.
Yeah, it's great. He's a great candidate, and I mean he's part of a big trove of like talent in the Democratic Party. Like I'll stand by that. There's a lot of talent in that party, but I think this 2024 election cycle has just shown us, like, for some reason, until now, that the party has not wanted to draw from that talent pool, and just kind of run with, Joe Biden, who's been in politics for 50 years.
That's such a good point. We really have had the Democratic Party has had a talent pool. I mean, look at how big the primary was in 2020. All of those people running for president, a lot of them like younger.
Yep.
And like no, we're gonna go with the guy that's been in politics since like Nixon. Like
Yeah.
it's and we haven't had a fresh face. We haven't had a fresh face like that since like Obama. So I feel like there's been a lot of reinvigoration on that some sort of level where it's like, oh man, like like Kamala Harris, kind of fresh, like she's younger, like kind of a little like more progressive than Biden, doesn't have a lot of the same detractors. She was vice president, but it seems like she's not being blamed for the same policy.
It's weird how like a lot of like the right, a lot of like the American right tries to pin like stuff on Kamala that has been a quote unquote like part of Biden's presidency, like the migrant crisis that people often complain about, which is not really a crisis, but like they try to pin things on her, and it's if you just read into it a little bit, she really doesn't have much to do with like that side of the Biden presidency.
Yeah, no, it's like, and like trying to attack her on like the economy and everything. It's like, oh, you think the vice president has a say over inflation and all this sorts? Like, it's basically the Republicans have been put in a place where they had everything. They're like, this guy's old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at how bad he looked during the debate. Look at the economy. Look at all this sort of stuff. And now it's like, well, this candidate is younger, 60, but still much younger than Biden.
Right.
Still with it. A very accomplished speaker in her own right.
Yeah.
Brings kind of a lot of excitement for the first not only woman president, but the first black woman president, the first Asian American president. Like all these sort of things to it, all this excitement, and the Republicans don't know what to do.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they were too comfortable with like the slam dunk that they were gonna have with Biden that they're just trying to fling anything at the wall, and it's just not sticking. It's
Yeah, it's like I like the thing is I remember they were like, this is my favorite joke to come out of this so far is like the first thing they pulled up on Waltz was he had a DUI.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean,
It's awesome.
Like,
yeah, dude, bro, it's okay. You don't need to make me love him more. Like,
yeah, like calm down. It's all right. I'll already vote for him.
Getting a DUI is like half of Wisconsin. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like you just handed him the state. Like,
I'd be more worried if he didn't have a DUI, because then I'd actually buy like the Republican claim that he's like a bi-coastal elite wannabe. Like, then I would buy it, but he has a DUI, so there's no way.
He's a DUI. He has a DUI. He's a true Midwesterner.
Right.
Who hasn't slammed back some brewskis and went on a nice drive? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
No, it's nothing sticking. And then meanwhile, you got the other side of the field where like Tim Walz, I think really launched him into this national spotlight was him going on that news. I don't know which station it was, and he was just like, he called them just plain weird.
Yeah, that was I heard that, and then the whole Democratic Party started using that lingo, and it was just fascinating how quickly they jumped on it. And like when he did that, and then he was being vetted for the Veep like position, I was like, they gotta pick him. He came up with the perfect quip. That really accurately describes the Republican Party too. I mean,
it really just it's so easy. It's kind of just it's common sense. They're just weird. Like it's like trying to cancel abortion rights. That's just weird. It's extreme.
Going after like trans children and trans children in sports. Like it's just weird. Like why do you care? Like I don't know. That
Yeah, at a recent rally he was just like we have like a saying back at home, mind your own business.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that resonates with Midwest people. Like, mind your own business, dog.
I was just going to say that, yeah. It resonates with, like, Midwest voters especially, and it's Midwest voters that I ultimately think will decide this election. I mean, you hear a lot about how Pennsylvania is crucial for either candidate to win this election, right? And if Kamala wins Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, granted she wins all the other, like, expected Democratic pickups, she's got the presidency narrowly, but she does, and I think we're going to see her campaigning a lot in the Midwest, and I think Walz lends himself to that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's just like, I mean, you know, like we talk a lot of smack about Democrats. I mean, we are kind of like a more radical show here, but like it was just a good pick. Like, he is appealing. He is just your Midwest uncle that is here and just gonna like talk smack, and like he makes a joke about JD Vance and couches. He's like,
yeah,
I'd be more than willing to bait him if he can get off the couch, and then he just does a dad grin and he's like, you see what I did there? Like that dude could be at your Thanksgiving table.
I'm gonna hand it to the moderate centrist Democratic Party when it's due, especially when they're up against like the neo-fascist like Trump ticket. Like I will hand it to them. Like they took 2 wins in a row with dropping Biden and then pushing for Walz.
Yeah, ultimately that was just like kind of a slam dunk. Like, and I never thought I'd say it. Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, right.
What? What? Are you kidding me? Like the basically the boogeyman for like every like left winger who like cares about the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi, seen as the big establishment, one of the main players behind both like Biden dropping out and like coming out hard for Walz. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think it might have something to do with her not having as much on the line as far as being part of the Democratic apparatus. You know, she's not the speaker anymore, and she's probably on her way out as a representative in her seat. So I don't know. She might be playing to the hand of a healthier Democratic Party.
Yeah, she said she went on a recent podcast and interview, and she said she was like, kudos on winning the general election in 2020, but she was not that impressed with the Biden campaign. She said, you know, she knew that they needed something that actually win, and the Biden campaign was not something that would win. I mean, at the end of the day, I if you can give Democrats anything, and keep in mind cynically, I think the Democratic establishment does want to win.
Yeah,
so, you know, like, and this was a situation where like, we need to win, we need to do this. You're getting out of the race, or we're gonna make you get out of the race. And then you had all those flurries of representatives are like, he needs to step aside, and then boom, he steps aside. And then now it was like Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, or Tim Walz, and it's like Josh Shapiro upsetting the youth vote because of what he has said about university students, comparing them to the KKK.
Yeah.
Even though we're protesting in support of Palestine.
Yeah. I mean, that's absurd, but I think like the night right before she was going to pick her VP, it was basically between Walz and Shapiro, and I was terrified that she would pick Shapiro because Shapiro was that's the like statistical trying to game, like metagame the electoral system. Like, we got to get Pennsylvania. We got to win Pennsylvania. Not on like the merit of their policies, but like trying to win it just by like, look, we got your cool dude that you love like as our VP, so you should vote for us. I don't like it when any party does that, but the Democratic Party tends to do that a lot, where they try to just take votes for granted based on the identity of who they're running. So
yeah, it's definitely that. It's almost like it would have been like a Tim Kaine 2016,
right,
where it's like,
exactly.
Oh, we want Virginia, so we're going to pick this white dude from Virginia,
right,
because we want it, instead of like maybe someone more inspiring. And for once, the Democratic Party was just like, no, we're gonna take the guy that can actually be inspiring, the guy that talks well, the guy that, you know, is actually kind of like interesting to young people, even people that are, I would say, kind of like found themselves checked out of politics when Biden was in. Like, oh, dude, this dude did some really good things, and he's just relatable and funny and just kind of cool.
And I mean, what's really telling is he's from Minnesota. I think there are a few things we can say for certain about the 2024 presidential election, but Kamala Harris winning Minnesota is a pretty sure thing. So picking Walz, like, on paper for the Dems seems like a bad thing. But I really commend the decision because I think he'll resonate with a broader base of voters. The Dems have an even stronger chance of winning Minnesota now, but because he's so relatable, he's so palatable to a broader audience, I think the Dems will have a much better support broadly rather than just focusing on, like, Pennsylvania.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I think that the picking Shapiro was the cynical choice. It was that we don't believe in ourselves that we can win on our own merit, as you said. But picking Walz is like, oh, we could actually win on our own merit.
Right.
And now it's like polls are coming out that Kamala is currently kind of leading. She's currently kind of winning this thing.
Yeah. I mean, we can learn from 2016 a lot about polls,
God,
but
yeah, that's true.
Polls do indicate something, and I think that they've definitely indicated so far that there is a broad swing of momentum towards Kamala. I don't think that's a secret to anyone, but I think that support was still there. It was just, like, the Democratic policies are generally popular. I mean, like, Kansas and Ohio both voted to enshrine abortion rights. So they're popular policies that the Democratic Party has. It's just the messenger they chose to run in 2020 and for part of 2024 is not what the voters want.
You see, Jack, abortion's good because, where am I?
Yeah.
It's not the best message. Not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It really depends on the messenger. It really depends on who you got going. I think Kamala, for a lot of people, is kind of like just an exciting choice. And then with Tim Walz, you kind of got that, it was going to be a white guy,
Yeah, I mean that's everyone who was being vetted. So
yeah, I mean, as much as I would pray for a Whitmer Kamala,
Oh man, I was praying for it early on. As soon as Kamala got elevated to the top, I was like, oh come on, Gretchen Whitmer. But no.
First girl boss White House. I mean, come on, it would have been awesome. But yeah, but once it came down to it, it's Walz. They got their white guy, but they also got a white guy that can, he can, like, kind of, like, inspire people. Like, he's relatable. He's Midwest. He just kind of has that folksy attitude that he doesn't come off like a cynical politician. He doesn't come off like that. He just comes off as, like, with his background as a high school teacher and a football coach. It's like, this is a dude you could find at any high school. This is a dude you could find in your community.
Yeah, he's funny, too. He's really funny.
Really
I mean,
funny.
like, if nothing else, like, if it comes down to who's funnier, I think the undecided voter from Upper Door County will choose Walz. But yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of who's funnier, the Republicans have lost it. They've lost the messaging. They lost it. Trump doesn't have the juice anymore.
Lion Kamala's, it's so weak. Crooked Joe Biden was some peak rhetoric. That is funny.
Yeah, like crooked Hillary, crooked Biden. Like, there's nothing you can throw at it. Like
Sleepy Joe. I mean, but like, it's been is Lion Kamala.
Lion Kamala.
And I think it was a rally where he spelled it out and said the apostrophe. It's like, oh man, you lost your mojo.
LYN apostrophe.
Like, dude,
he's lost it. What happened to the names? What happened to him?
You know what it is?
What?
He's getting old.
Yeah. He's getting really old. Maybe he should drop out. Maybe you should,
I think it was, didn't Jon Stewart crack the joke that because the Democrats swapped their nominee, Republicans can swap theirs.
Yeah, they should. Yeah. Oh my God. I feel like they'd still be done. Like JD Vance, are you kidding?
Nah, I think JD Vance would be even worse. Like, I think Trump is one of the most charismatic nominees that the Republicans have had in years. I mean, I think Bush was like, he had that like frat boy kind of energy.
Yeah, he was just goofy.
He was goofy. He's goofy, but he had some charisma. But like McCain and Romney, just like very career politician-y. And then Trump comes around with like the steel chair, just saying the most outrageous stuff,
Yeah, literally. You got low energy, Jeb. Just like going after people. Ted, your wife is ugly.
Yeah, like
and everyone's like, oh, like that was funny.
Yeah, and I think it's gotten to the point where the Republican Party has kind of dug itself its own grave, because now they're so centralized around Trump that it's like they can't get rid of him. He is going to be their nominee. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they run him again in 2028, because it's like they have no other, like I said about the pool of talent that the Dems have, the Republicans just don't have it. Like, they don't have that, you know?
Yeah, the three ways that we don't see Donald Trump running every cycle till he dies is if, one, he's put in prison, which even then...
He'll probably still run, I mean.
Yeah. Two, he decides not to, which, lol, he needs the money. He needs the grifting money for all of his legal cases.
He's totally,
Or three, he finally dies of old age. Hopefully old age. We don't promote, like if it did happen, I wouldn't be sad. I'm just saying, like if it did, it almost did, and it could have, and I'm just saying it could have.
I mean, I might go back on this later down the line, but this is the third election cycle he's been a part of. Like, he is in it, and like I said, the Republican Party, it's just, I mean. I tuned in a bit for the RNC, and it was just like they have nothing else. They don't have anything else. To anyone they had speaking there, I don't know who this person is other than the Teamsters leader, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, we should get into that. But yeah, no, like Republicans have nothing after Trump. Like, I guess JD Vance is their cynical way to kind of be like, oh, this is our next guy. This is the heir apparent.
Right.
But even him, he's just like 2016. He's like, oh, this is our next Hitler. Like, he's talking bad about Trump. He's just in it for the grift.
As the wise anchors at Fox News in 2004 said about Kerry, he's a flip-flopper.
He's a flip-flopper. Yeah, I love the Kerry reference. What is he up to these days, do you think?
I don't know, actually. I have no idea.
You think he's back in Massachusetts counting his Purple Hearts? He has 3 Purple Hearts. That reference, I think, outside of us, would nobody... like, you got to be a nerd or have lived through that election.
Yeah.
He's just a wet noodle. I heard he had sex with a couch.
It's allegedly.
Allegedly.
He didn't say it explicitly, but he did make a very specific remark in like a paper, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just, there's no way you came up with that without
having sex with a couch.
Yeah.
I loved watching the memes where it's like initially, like, what's that fact-checking site? I always forget what it is, but like, they like fact-check articles and all that sort of stuff, and they say true, mixed, or false.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I loved watching in real time as it was initially declared false, and then it went to mixed, because it's like, well, there's no evidence he didn't have sex with a couch. Which I think is the best thing you could hear about a vice presidential candidate. Well, we don't know for certain he didn't have sex with a couch.
I wonder if that is that his like DUI, or is that just too weird?
I think it's too weird. Like
I think so too.
I don't know what banging a couch appeals to, other than like maybe like a prepubescent like 13-year-old who wants to experiment. I don't know. Who does that?
And then Republicans are trying to raise the voting age, so I don't know what the angle is.
Yeah, like unless like you find someone that like took like 2 hot like water bags and put them in the between the cushions of their couch.
Now, Eli, that's a little specific.
Look, Billy, we all have our shames in life. All right, we all have our experimentations, Billy, and her name was Betha, and she's now in our basement. Okay. You don't speak ill. No, I did not actually. No.
What do you think JD Vance named his couch cushions?
That's a good question. I want to know. What would JD Vance? Wait, I feel like it'd be something LARPy. I feel like it'd be like
Oh God, yeah.
Like it'd be something kind of like weirdly conservative, like Rand.
Oh,
I could say.
Oh.
Maybe if he's feeling a certain way, as we know, Republicans tend to do. Maybe he calls it Atlas.
Oof. God.
Ooh, Atlas shrugged. I'll show you an Atlas shrug.
It's like 13-year-old pipsqueak, like JD Vance, and he's in college and he's thinking back to this strange time in his life. Like, I'm gonna put that in a paper.
I'm gonna talk about this time I had an intimate experience with a couch. But yeah, it's like this is especially like kind of backtracking to like Tim Walz's statement. Like, this is the weird ticket. You got Donald Trump, who I mean,
He's
it's
Donald Trump. Yeah.
He's weird. Like everything about him is weird. He just so happens to be kind of funny sometimes, but he's fascist, like just evil man. And then you got JD Vance, who's just super awkward. I mean, in a recent thing that came out, when he got the call from Trump that he was going to be VP, his son was trying to talk to him about Pokemon, and he said, "Shut the f up. I'm taking a call."
Goodness.
Like he's just weird. And then it's just like, oh, if we're people that don't vote for us are crazy cat ladies, and like if you don't want to have children, you're a crazy cat lady.
I think it was like he was calling Democratic politicians childless cat ladies, I think was the remark.
Just everything. It's just like womp womp. It's like when you go to a stand-up comedy and you just bomb. Like everything that comes out of his mouth is just like, okay. It's weird.
Trump picked him because they were against Sleepy Joe. They thought this was going to be a slam dunk, and they wanted to coronate their next like heir to the MAGA movement, and they totally stubbed their toe on this. Like now they're a totally different ball game. Just historic stuff has happened.
Yeah, honestly, it's been exhausting. I don't know about you, but it's just been like
I'm so excited. I am the most Democratic ready to vote guy in Milwaukee. I'm so ready.
Would you say you're libbed up, Billy?
I think I'd identify as libbed up right now. Yeah, I think I'm pretty libbed.
I could hear Tommy screaming in a basement, far away from here. I can hear him in the sweatshop, and he just heard the words "libbed up," and he's just, no, what are they doing?
I mean, in all seriousness, I am excited to see the alternative to the right wing neo-fascists movement. The alternative, the Democratic Party, is actually doing things that I agree with. It's been just a series of L's, one after the other, for the past, since Hillary, since the end of the Obama presidency, and even before then. I mean, even Obama's presidency was.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about this long before, we even came on here, but I was messaging you where I was just it's weird where this excitement is, I don't think has been around since Obama. Even Joe Biden being Trump, that was mostly excitement that Trump was gone. There was not this much kind of oh, this is an interesting ticket. Wait, this is a cool ticket.
Yeah, and all that the excitement that was behind Bernie in 2020, that fell by the wayside. No one really cared that until later that he was pushed out of the ticket, because Bernie had the momentum, but they wanted Joe to be president because he was moderate. And he played well to the Democratic Party institution, and you're right, there was more excitement behind getting Trump out.
Yeah, it was I remember that election night. A good friend of ours and I were on a call, and we forgot about the red mirage thing, so we were just oh man, this sucks. They done it and all that, and I remember those states turning blue, and we're oh, and it wasn't because Biden was elected, but it was oh man, Trump lost. Heck yeah, bro.
Yeah, right. The nightmare is over.
We're finally done. He's gone.
And it's just been debilitating watching the Democratic Party limp to the barn. And then we have this historic upset, and now the game has changed. It is completely changed.
Yeah. No, it's insane. It's definitely insane. I think it completely changes the game. I mean, there's a reason why we're basically dedicating an entire episode to this, because it is. This is. If you allow me to be a nerd, real quick, Billy, quoting Lenin.
I knew it was his quote.
He knows. See, Tommy wouldn't bat an eye. Released him, free my mans. But as I said, there's months where nothing happens, and then there's week where months happen.
Right. And I think it's decade. I think a week where a decade happens, and then decades where nothing happens.
Yeah. Which is basically what we just saw happen. So.
Wow, who's the nerd here? I figured out I knew the quote better.
I'm not gonna live down that a Lenin quote better than me. It's gonna be a talk later.
Yeah.